Good morning. Opening prayer. The energy of love is within us and is us. Whole and complete is the I am that we are. We awaken to the truth of our being. We will this be done within and without. May we come to recognize that receive all that we give. We know that we have forgiven ourselves when we forgive them of all grievances held within our minds. May we not be led into temptation by the voice of separation, but instead may we transcend all illusions. For ours is the power, peace, and love of Christ, consciousness, found within each of us, who is but the perfect extension of the one, mind and heart, that is shared by all and is our birthright as the holy extension of love itself. Our affirmation of faith. We believe in one God, the author and energy of all life, whose love sustains the universe and all things found within it. Our 5 Christ principles. There is only one energy in the universe. That energy is love, at all times active in everyone, everywhere. 2. We are the divine energy of love, and that energy is found throughout the universe and in all things, whether seen or unseen. 3. We create our experiences by what we choose to think, feel, and believe, thereby establishing our responsibility for our own choices. 4. Through opening our heart center, we connect with the energy of love and bring out the Christ within us. 5. We express our desire to be of service when we live and demonstrate the Christ consciousness in all our affairs.
Thank you, Miss Bobby, and welcome everyone. Welcome to the Church of Christ Consciousness. Welcome to those who are here in person. Welcome to those who are watching live and to those who will watch later during the week. Today, I want to discuss something, and the reason I want to discuss this particular thing is, in the past week, I've had 3 conversations out of nowhere on self-talk. Yes. And I'd like to start with the first conversation. I was talking to a gentleman who I do spiritual counseling with, and I was listening to what he was saying to me. I was staying quiet, just letting him vent and tell me about himself and his week and some things that was happening within his life. And finally I said, stop. I stop. Is this the way you would allow someone to talk to you? And he said, what do you mean? I said, would you allow someone to talk to you the way that you're talking about yourself right now? And he goes, no. I said, well, then why are you allowing yourself to talk to you that way? Because that's just how I talk. And I said, okay. Well, I had a few more things to say to him, but what was so wild was I had 2 more conversations with 2 different people on the same thing this past week. So I had something I was going to talk about, and I went, all right, God, 3's a charm. I get the picture. I'm supposed to talk about self-talk. So the question I want each one of you to answer, why do you allow yourself to talk to yourself the way you do when you would no more allow anyone to speak to you the way you talk to you? And I'll go back to the second conversation I said, have you heard yourself? Have you listened to what you are saying to yourself? Are you truly listening to what you are saying to yourself? And then I said something also to the gentleman, the first one this past week. I said, you've got to remember something. The subconscious hears everything you say. All right? The subconscious does not miss anything. So every conversation you have about yourself, the subconscious is listening to. And the subconscious doesn't miss a thing. It hears everything. Well, when you're beating yourself up, berating yourself, thinking that you're not worthy, I understand you're not saying it aloud, but you're saying it in here. And bet you 10 to 1, it's your voice. You hear your own voice. We all do. We hear our own voice in our head. And then it's like, we wonder why our life is in the rut, in the muck, or not going quite the way we would like it. Well, it's because of what we're saying to ourselves. And I'm going to give you the reason. All I have to do is just say one. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. And the earth was void and without form, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. Notice it says God said, let there be light, and there was light. And he saw that it was good. Well, every time you speak to yourself in your own mind, your subconscious is listening. And by the way, the subconscious does not judge if it's good or bad. Subconscious doesn't judge right or wrong, indifferent, anything. It just listens to you and does what you want. And I recognize that's why a lot of people start saying affirmations and doing mantras and other things. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with doing affirmations. But if you do not change the self-talk, the affirmations aren't going to do any good. You have to change the self-talk that is going on in your own mind. Now, where did the self-talk come from? It came from our parents, our teachers, our friends, society itself. And we began to buy some of the things that we didn't know any better. We bought it and began to live and believe certain things about ourselves. Some of you who are watching may be wondering, well, where is this biblically? I'll tell you where it is. There's a Bible verse that states, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That's the self-talk. The self-talk is in the mind, but it is being registered in the heart. And as you think of yourself, so will you be. And by the way, where your heart lies, so lies your treasure. So do you want your treasure to lie in the negative? And the negative things that can happen to you or to any of us? No. And we have the opportunity always to change what is occurring by changing our mind. We have to start with our mind first. And that's what I want everyone here to recognize. We have to start changing the conversation that we have with ourselves. So the gentleman asked me, he said, well, what do I do when I catch? When I catch this, when I catch myself having this negative self-talk. I said, first of all, recognize you caught it. Stop. Tell yourself that you will no longer tolerate this within your own self. You will no longer tolerate you judging your own self. That's the first thing. And then immediately take the thought that you had and change it. For instance, I'm not good at this. We've all thought it. We've all said it. Somebody will ask us to do something. We go, I'm not real good at that. You sure? How do you know for sure? Have you really ever tried? Even if you tried and made a mistake, so what? What you can tell yourself is, I would like to give myself the opportunity to try this. I choose. There is our power. I choose to give this a try. I choose to at least show myself I can do this. So every time a negative thought enters, catch it, forgive it, let it go. But the most important thing is to replace it with one that is, let's call positive, something that is uplifting. Most of us were taught to be our worst critic. No one criticizes us like we criticize ourselves. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Does it serve any purpose? Not at all. Never will. It only serves one purpose, to keep us miserable. And then we wonder why we're miserable. So think about what you're saying to yourself. It's not everything that's happening out here. Listen to what you're talking about, what you're hearing in your own mind, and it's your own voice that you're listening to. And stop. And tell yourself, I will no longer tolerate judging myself. Then change the talk. One sentence at a time, change the talk. And before long, you will have changed all the talk in your mind. And there won't be a time where there is the negative self-talk, because you will no longer allow it. You have the choice. No one, as I told the third person I was talking to, no one is going to do this for you. You must want to do it yourself. You must want to change. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, change. But you have to change this. There's an old saying that goes, the world is but a fact. You cannot change the world, but you can change your mind and your thoughts, and therefore the world you see will begin to change. The same holds true for you. There's another old saying, a couple of 100 years old. Goes like this. I was looking for an enemy. I looked in the mirror and I found it. We are our own enemy until we become our own best friend. And that's what this conversation with you is about today. becoming your own best friend. Would you talk to a friend the way you talk to yourself? Would you allow a friend to talk to you that way? No. So don't allow it within you. Change the way you talk about yourself and find out how quickly your life and circumstances and the things around you change. That's the power we have. That's the power of our mind. But it's up to us. It is up to each one of us. No one is going to do it for us. We have to change our self-talk. Now, can you imagine a world where all of us change our self-talk? Then we can finally come into what Jesus the Christ said. Love ye one another as you love yourself. Which brings me to the last point. I've actually said this to people. I know that there are people who may not believe it, but there are some here this morning who have heard me say this. I have looked at people, please don't love me. Please do not love me the way you love yourself, because I see how you love yourself, and I don't want to be loved like that. Thank you, but no thank you. Seriously. How can anyone that's beating themselves up, berating themselves, judging themselves, love themselves? And if you can't love yourself, how can you love another? It starts in here. Now again, go back to the original question when I said, can you imagine a world where we each became responsible, truly responsible for the self-talk in our head and our mind about our own self? And that we raised our consciousness to a level where we truly would not allow or tolerate within us the berating, the beating ourselves up, the judgments that we heap upon ourselves. Here's the kicker. That is true self-love. That is true self-love. Beating yourself up is not self-love. Never has been. That's called a bully. You cannot bully yourself into being better. You cannot bully yourself into living a different life. Bullying doesn't work. It never has. So why would you bully your own self? Stop and try something new. It's called loving yourself. Love yourself instead of bullying yourself. And you'll find out just how much love you really have. And from that love, you can share it. Now imagine a world where we shared love all the way around instead of bullying each other. What do you expect? If you bully yourself, you'll be bullying everybody else. That's the way it goes. For we do but unto ourselves, and what we give out, we get back. How many ways did Jesus say it? When are we going to listen? It's been 2,000 years. Are you ready? After 2,000 years, I think it's time that we begin to listen to Him. But only we can do it. And we can change our life by changing what we think of our own self. That's what I want everyone watching and here today to remember. You can change your life by changing the very thoughts you have of your own self. Stop bullying yourself and love yourself. Y'all have a good one. Now Miss Penny will take us into the meditation and prayer.
As we reflect on today's sermon, let's get comfortable in our chairs and breathe in, I am, and breathe out. Breathe in, I am, and breathe out. Breathe in, I am, and breathe out. Before I start the reflection, I'd like to say that the reason why I don't tell you what to breathe out is because that is yours to breathe out. Breathe in, I am, and breathe out. As you get centered, quiet your mind, open your ears and your heart. Recall the issues that arose this week. Did you become upset, or were you able to stay in your centeredness so that you could get clarity of action from the Holy Spirit? If you were upset, ask yourself why. Did you have your day all planned, or were you listening to Spirit as to where you should be and what you should do that day? And remember, if all things are in divine order, can you find the gift in the moment that upset you so? Reflect just a few minutes and give thanks for your week. As you move into this week, each time you have negative self-talk, catch it, bless it, forgive it. And remember to ask Spirit to help you set your day. Then you will find yourself walking in peace more and more. And remember to see each encounter as in divine order. See each encounter as meeting the Christ, and ask for the lesson or the blessing in each one. We'd like to thank everyone for being with us today. If you'd like to know more about us, check us out at ulchurchofchristconsciousness.org, and be sure to check Meetup to see of any workshops, meetings, or classes that we have. Thank you for your time.